quiz review. This is going to be through Paradex. I'll be toggling back and forth, and I'll be working out problems with you. So here's your first problem. We have an equation, 2/3 x plus 5 equals 17. Now, if you have a mouse, it makes it a little bit easier to use the drawing tool to show your work. If you don't have a mouse, you can type out your work. If that's just way too difficult, just do it on a piece of scratch paper, all right? And then type in your answer, all right? But if you can show your work, that'll help me understand where your misconceptions are. So I'm going to give you guys about 2 minutes to do this problem. You know, if you're getting stuck on this problem, do as much as you can. Like maybe you just know what the first step is, you know, and then you can just put that much. That's okay. Okay, 2 minutes is up. Let's take a look at what you guys came up with. We have an x equals 18. Someone got frustrated. An x equals 18. X equals 18. So this person here is showing they're subtracting 5 from both sides. Ooh, and it looks like they're trying to show me they're multiplying by the reciprocal. Wow, that's nice. That's exactly how I would solve this problem as well. X is 18. Not really sure. X is 18. So most of you are getting this right. Those of you who are putting x equals 18. And, you know, I do want to just kind of show you the steps in case you were one of the people that didn't write that down or get a chance to write that down. Okay, so what I am going to do is I'm going to present to you a whiteboard. See entire screen. This one and share. And okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just write down the question that we were given, which was 2/3 x plus 5 equals 17. Okay, and I am recording this, so you can go back and re-watch this video of our review if there's something you want to go back and look at a little bit more in detail. Okay, especially if I go too fast, you have the ability to watch the video and go back and re-watch it. But yeah. Anyhow, this is an equation. We're going to solve it. One thing I like to do is box and wall. It helps me remember what I'm trying to isolate, and the wall helps me remember to do the same thing to both sides. Okay, so I want to first get rid of that +5, and I did see quite a few of you do this. So you subtract 5 on both sides. 5 minus 5 is 0. That goes away. And then I'm left with 2/3 x equals 17 minus 5 is 12. All right. And then, you know, maybe you got stuck right here. Maybe you weren't really sure what to do now. I'm trying to get x by itself still. But x is being multiplied by a fraction. And so one way to get rid of the fraction is to multiply the fraction by its reciprocal. The reciprocal of 2/3 is 3/2. All right, because that's going to make my 3's and 2's cancel. Whatever I do to one side of the equation, I must do to the other side of the equation. The 3's and the 2's divide out to 1, and then I'm left with x is equal to, well, 12 times 3/2. So when you have a whole number and a fraction being multiplied, you could think of your whole number as a fraction and then multiply your numerators and your denominators. Or you can look for a common factor amongst the numerators and denominators, like 2 and 12 have a common factor of 2. So I'm going to divide out that 2. And then I'm left with 6. So if I think of 12 as 2 times 6, and I divide out those 2's, I'm left with 6. So 6 times 3 is 18. And those of you that came up with 18 as your answer, you were correct. All right. Next one, another equation for you. 3x plus 5 equals 20 minus 2x. Again, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. So you should go back to your pear deck slide and take 2 minutes to try and solve this. All right, you can write out the steps, type out the steps. You can do it on paper, just write your answer. Okay. If you only know how to do maybe one step, just put the step that you do know how to do. So you should not be in the Google Meet tab. You should be over in our Pear Deck tab. Because I do want you guys to participate and try to come up with something. Make sure you're in your Pear Deck tab trying to answer this. $30 more seconds here. And it seems that typing might be the easiest way to kind of show your work through this. All right, so let's look at some responses. This person did a really nice job, like such a nice job that I don't even think I need to work this one out. Okay, so they started with their equation, and they chose to get those two x terms together, and they decided to add 2x to both sides, which turned into 5x plus 5 equals 20. And then they decided to get the 5 and the 20 together by subtracting 5 from both sides, which then gave them the equation 5x equals 15. And then they divided both sides by 5 to get to x equals 3. And that is perfect. Okay, they did a really nice job being able to type that out. I don't even need to redo that for you guys. All right, but you know, with these problems, there are more than one way to go about them. So I'm just curious if anyone did it a different way. So like the way they set it up here, I kind of like this too. So they decided to move all of their terms with x's to the left and all their constant terms to the right. And notice when they moved the minus 2x to the other side, it became plus 2x. And when they moved the plus 5 to the right, it became minus 5. So essentially they're doing the same thing. It just looks a little different. 5x equals 20 minus 5, 5x equals 15, down to x equals 3. That's good. So I think just looking at that, that's perfect. Another thing you may have to do with our quiz is you may have to describe steps in solving an equation, describe what's happening. So there's these properties of equality that happen when we solve equations. And so there's something called the addition property of equality. Okay, and that's not on there. But that's when you add the same number to both sides of your equation and you get the same, you still have an equal equation. You're allowed to do the same thing to both sides, like add something to both sides as long as it's the same value and you get a true equation. There's the subtraction property of equality. So you subtract something from both sides. And an example of that is in this example. Okay, right here, this is the, let me use a different color. So this is subtraction property of equality. Don't mind my messy writing, okay? But when I'm showing that I subtract 5 from the left and 5 from the right, that is the subtraction property of equality. All right, and we have multiplication property of equality, division property of equality. All right, with this problem, we multiplied both sides by the same number. So this was the multiplication property of equality. So you may have to describe what's happening in an equation that is solved, right? And that would be these things you're referring to. So this is another interactive slide for you. I'm going to give you about a minute to do this one. All right. You're going to drag the icons. You have a red 4, an orange 4, a yellow 6, and a green 6. You're going to drag those to where they go to make that a true worked out solution using the words that are describing it to the left. So the first step says use the subtraction property of equality. And your given equation is right at the top. 1/2 z plus 4 equals 10. So if I'm going to use the subtraction property of equality, what am I subtracting from both sides? I'm just going to click and drag that stuff where it needs to go. All right, so time is up. I cancel that one. Just weird stuff on YouTube. Okay, if I try to show you responses, it does start to look a little crazy. Okay, so I think I can show maybe in new window. I could probably just show you a specific answer without it looking so crazy. Wants to show me everyone's response at the same time. Okay. That's still showing everyone's response at the same time. So I'll just tell you, these top 2 boxes, because me showing you wasn't really helping. You know, this is our original equation over here. I'm trying to get rid of the plus 4. So I would subtract 4. I would subtract 4. These first 2 boxes in the first row are both 4s. And then combine like terms. Well, 10 minus 4 is 6. And then now use the multiplication property of equality to multiply each side by 2. Well, 2 times what I still had was 6. 2 times 6, and then simplifying it, it was 12 in this box here. Okay, this next slide, this is a literal equation. A literal equation we learned about, that's when we have two or more variables in an equation. And so what you're going to do is choose, it is one of those four options. So which one is it? Because it's multiple choice, I'm just going to give you about 30 seconds to do this one. Okay. So pick which one you think it is. Think about using inverse operations and which would be the correct answer. All right, so that was pretty quick. Okay, so let's see what we came up with. Most of you picked B. So if most of you pick it, it must be the right answer, right? We're going to take a look. So I'm going to open up the whiteboard app that I have. Okay. So let's see. We started with 21 equals CD, not O, CD plus E, and I needed to solve it for D. So box and wall is useful here because there are so many variables. We got to remember which variable we're trying to get by ourselves. In this case, it is in fact D, box and wall. And C and D are being multiplied. E is being added to it. So first I got to get rid of this plus E. In order to do that, I use inverse operations. I'm going to subtract E. Okay, and if I do that to the right-hand side, I need to do it to the left-hand side. I'm going to rewrite what I have left. 21 minus E equals C times D. Okay, so I'm not done yet, but just looking at what you guys came up with, 16 of you are saying 21 plus E, which already there's no plus. It is definitely a subtraction. So it's either C or D. It is not A or B. So you should choose either C or D at this point and not A or B. I got to simplify this. All right, so box, wall, so close. C and D are being multiplied. So I have to undo the multiplication. Division will undo multiplication and do the same thing over here. Those go away. All right, so what I'm left with is 21 minus E divided by C is equal to D. So is it C or is it D? C and D look really similar, but there is something different about them. And no one should have A or B anymore if you're allowed to change it. I think you're allowed to change your answer because I did see them changing. You should change your answer. Should either be C or D. Okay, but definitely not A or B. And if you're not really sure what the difference between C and D are, so like here is our answer, right? The choice for C, you know, that they give you is kind of this purplish color. They say it's 21 minus E divided by C equals D. And what that means is this is actually 21 minus E divided by C. Only E is being divided by C in this choice. For D, the green option, they're giving you the quantity of 21 minus E divided by C equals D. So if I rewrite it as a fraction, I'm actually going to get 21 minus E, the entire quantity divided by C equals D. So if this is my answer, which one's correct, C or D? You guys see how they're different? D is the correct answer. D. Okay, D is the correct answer. You should all have D for this one. All right. So we're moving on to expressions. And in this problem, I'm asking you to interpret the meaning of the expression. Okay, the expression that we're interpreting is 2 and 29 hundredths times P plus 1 and 69 hundredths times P. What does that expression represent? What is it showing you? Is it it's a value of something. Frank buys P pounds of oranges for $2.29 a pound, and he buys the same number of pounds of apples for $1.69 per pound. So what does that expression represent? You could write a sentence, you can type a word, you can type anything in between a sentence and a word. So I'm going to give you some time to do this. I'll give you a minute. Go to your Paradex slide and please type something. If you don't participate, it's hard for me to tell if you understand this or not. I should assume you don't understand it if you're not typing. But the only way I would know you don't understand it is if you tell me I don't understand this, or if you tell me the wrong answer. And with the Paradex slides, I mean, if you really don't know and you tell me I don't know, well, that's still a very important feedback for the teacher, okay? So go ahead and come back to our Google Meet, and let's take a look at what you guys came up with. The meaning of the expression is how much it was per pound. P represents the pounds. Okay, that is part of it. It represents the total cost. This is really good. Total cost, yes. So, you know, we have a price per pound times the number of pounds. That's going to give you the total cost for oranges and then the total cost for apples. And then if you add these two things together, it's the total amount of money spent. So the amount he spent altogether, fantastic. Yeah, so you have to take it a little bit further, and it's basically the amount he spent altogether or the total cost. It is not the total amount of pounds. So if you remember, P stands for the number of pounds, which is an unknown variable. We don't know how many pounds they're buying. It's just the number P. P represents the number of pounds, but that expression is the total cost. Okay, so that was interpreting. And now you're going to translate. You're going to take this word phrase, these two sentences, and you're going to write an algebraic expression. We've been practicing writing algebraic expressions in our warm-ups this week. Okay, with like the witch's brew and the broomsticks and the black cats. Translate each word phrase into an algebraic expression. There's only one phrase here. Ava's grade on the math test was just S points fewer than 100. Write an expression for her grade. You only got to type a letter, a number, and a symbol. I'm not saying which order. A symbol, a letter, and a number. I don't know. That shouldn't take you long, so try it. Give you a few seconds here. You should be in your Pear Deck tab. Type something for me. What expression represents that situation? Okay, so let's see what you guys are coming up with. We have S minus 100. Well, that has the correct variable, the correct number, and the correct operation. But when you see fewer than, or less than, or more than, that tells you need to reverse the order of the two things you're comparing. So it's not, oh wait, yeah, it's not S minus 100. It's not S is less than 10 or S is less than 100. No. 100 minus S. Her score is S points fewer than 100. So if her score was 5 points less than 100, it'd be 100 minus 5, or 95. If we had it this way, where did it go? We had it as S minus 100, and she lost 5 points. That'd be 5 minus 100. She would have a negative score. That doesn't make too much sense. So 100 minus S. Okay, we've looked at this problem before. And last time we looked at this problem, I was asking you to solve this problem. I'm not asking you to solve this problem right now. I'm just asking you to write an equation out of that information. So from the information of an ostrich that is 108 inches tall is 20 inches taller than 4 times the height of a kiwi, what is the height of a kiwi in inches? You're going to write me an equation. Your equation should have 108 in it. It should have 20 in it. It should have 4 in it. It should have a variable to represent the height of a kiwi. If you want to use K, that's fine. If you want to use X or whatever. I didn't define a variable for you this time. You got to think, what does taller than, what operation would that represent? Times, what operation would that represent? Go ahead and take a minute to do this one. That's 8 responses, and you have 16 seconds. Okay. So we have, in class, we have 5 minutes left, and I usually don't take all of your time, but today I think I might have to take the full last time. Okay, so instead of going through your responses, we get through these last ones quickly. When you see the word is in a story problem or a word problem, a situation like this, it tells you that's the equal sign, right? 108 inches tall is 108 equals 20 inches taller than 4 times the height of the kiwi. So we're multiplying the height of the kiwi, whatever variable you chose, and you have to add that to 20. Now, when it's taller than, more than, I did tell you to switch the order, okay? But when it's addition, the order doesn't matter, so it's still correct. So 20 plus 4K or 4K plus 20, we're still going to get the same amount. When it's the subtraction, the order is very important. Your order is very important. All right. 11, 12, 13. We have 3 slides in 4 minutes. Okay. Multiple choice. Here you go. We're only going to spend a minute per slide so we get through everything. Go ahead and try this one. 1 minute. Actually, it should be less than that, so I have time to talk about it. I'm giving you 30 seconds. 30 seconds for you to pick, 30 seconds for me to talk. All right. So nobody said D. Most of you picked A, B, or C. And if we look at what's different about these equations, well, they all have 1990 on one end of the side. Okay, that is the total amount of money they spent, $19.90. And if you read this, Corey and his friend are going to a movie, and each of their tickets cost the same amount. And they share a frozen yogurt that costs $5.50. Well, $5.50 is part of what they're spending. Okay, but if you look at these options, A and D show subtraction of $5.50. They weren't getting paid money to eat yogurt. They had to pay money to eat yogurt. So it's either B or C. And then is it 2C or is it 1C? And so what does C even represent? In this situation, C is the cost of a ticket. So between B and C, did they buy 2 tickets and 1 yogurt? Or did they buy 1 ticket and 1 yogurt? Can they share a ticket to get into the movies in this situation like they shared the yogurt? It says that they go to a movie, each of their tickets cost the same amount. That's telling me they had to buy a ticket each, which is typically what you do when you go to the movies, unless you're trying to like sneak your friend in the back door. Okay, but that's not happening in this word problem. So it is B. B is the correct answer. All right. Oh man, it's 34. Okay, we gotta go quick. So there is a purple star on your Pear Deck tab. Go to your Pear Deck tab and take that star, and of those 3 number lines, which one shows the temperature in a pet iguana's cage should be between 70 degrees Fahrenheit and 95 degrees Fahrenheit inclusive? Which graph shows that? You have 3 choices to put your star on. 3 choices. 3 choices. Take 10 seconds and move your star somewhere. Oh, you guys are doing really good. Most of you are responding on this one. That's great. Okay, so if I show you responses, look how smart you are. Yay, you all have it right. Nobody got it wrong. So when it says 70 degrees and 95 degrees inclusive, that word inclusive means that those are closed circles. They include that number. So 70 and 95 have to be included in the number line, and that's the only one that's on 70 and 95. All right, it's 35. Last question. -1/2 x is greater than or equal to 9. This is something that will show up on your quiz. This is something that a lot of you have been having trouble with. All right, I'm recording this and I'm going to post it to our classroom. So if you absolutely have to leave right now because it's 2:35, you can. Otherwise, just stay here and do this last one, okay? This one's important. I'm going to give you a minute to try it. I let you guys go like 5 minutes early, like every day, all the time. So if we go 1 minute over, 2 minutes over today, is it that big of a deal? But if you have to leave, I get it. It's recorded. I'm just going to put a YouTube video link. You can watch the last part of this later. How do we solve inequalities? All right. So, see, that's a very honest answer. I don't understand. Thank you for being honest. This person is multiplying by -2. I like that idea. Oh, this person has an answer. So let's just take a look at this because it's one of those things I probably just need to work out. Okay, so come back to your Google Meet tab. Here is our inequality. It's called an inequality when it has an inequality symbol, not an equation. And I'm trying to get x by itself. I still do box and wall just like I do with an equation. Most of everything is the same with an inequality as it is with an equation, except for one thing. If I divide or multiply by a negative, if you divide or multiply by a negative, you have to then flip or reverse your sign. Okay, that's really important. So to isolate x, you know, I could think of this as it's being multiplied by -1/2. I could think of it as it's being divided by -2. So either way, I'm going to multiply both sides by -2. You know, if I'm thinking of it as being divided by -2 and I multiply by -2, then x becomes isolated. If I think it as multiplying by -2/1, okay, and I could think of like crossing out my fraction that way. It's still the same thing. -2 and -2/1 are the same number. So those eliminate, and I'm left with x. It's all by itself, and 9 times -2 is -18. Okay, but did I just multiply or divide by a negative? Yes, I did. So I have to take that sign and I have to flip this sign. So instead of greater than or equal to, it is now less than or equal to. That is your solution. Okay. So that is the end of this meeting. You are free to leave if you have not already left.